Don't think that is easy. The moment a dot is placed on you, all hell breaks loose.
It's man like Dan. Come on! Welcome to Melanated and Proud, where this channel is all about inspiring, empowering and showcasing the black community. Today, listen, we got a special one. This story, I'm yet to hear it, but she's given me a glimpse of it and it sounds very, very interesting. So before we even get in, just make sure that you're tuning, you like, comment, subscribe, and also let me know who else you want to bring on, because I'm open to hearing suggestions, yeah? So before we begin, yeah, so what you told me so far about your journey, like, it sounds so interesting. Sounds very deep. You've gone through a lot in life. Sounds like a movie, if I'm honest. But I'm sure it wasn't easy, and I'm sure it's been difficult. So without further ado, I want to welcome young lady Samantha White.
Oh, that's an interesting story. So my mom fell pregnant at 15. She got pregnant with, I'll say, her childhood sweetheart, my dad. That in itself is another story. So basically my dad was playing both my mom and her best friend. Teenagers. And so my mom fell pregnant. She had me at 16. No one really knew that she was pregnant because she was a little bit, chubby. So, and she didn't show. And so after she had me, I don't know if it was postnatal depression, but I reminded her too much of my dad because I literally have my dad's face. And so she wanted nothing to do with me. And so my grandma had me. My grandma had me since I was 1 year old. And my grandma had me until I was 7. And that's what happened. I mean, over the years, I've learned to empathize with my mum because not only was she mending a broken heart from losing my dad, she was also mending a broken heart from losing her best friend. So in my family, all the girls in my family dropped out of school without qualifications, pregnancy usually. And so I realized that because I like to follow trends. That's just how that's how my brain works. And I realized that everyone in my family up to my generation dropped out of school because of pregnancy, teenage pregnancy. And I wanted to break that. And I realized not only was it pregnancy, there were other things within my bloodline. That's why I wrote the first book, How I Forced Pandora's Box Shut. The seven life-changing events that almost broke me. There were 7 curses in my family that I felt were running rampant in my bloodline. One of them, qualifications, teenage pregnancy. There were a lot of things that I identified and I'm like, And when my mom was 16, she had me. So when I turned 16, my mom went to prison. And I'm there we go. That's the generational curse showing up. Generational curses are called curses for a reason. They happen at the same time. It doesn't have to happen with you, but if you look back in your familial lineage, you see certain things reoccurring. It doesn't have to be you directly, in your other cousins, whatever. You see it. So I noticed that the girls in my family always fell pregnant. And when my cousin rang me and she told me she was pregnant at 18, I cried. They were looking at me like, what you doing? Because this was the cousin that I grew up with. This was the cousin that I grew up with. And so I thought we were on the same page. We would not get pregnant as teenagers because I wanted to break that generational curse. And I'm like, so when she told me she was pregnant, I cried for days. But so my plan was, okay, I will not be a teenage mom. And all the other things, I would graduate from school, secondary, I would go to higher education. That's another one. So there were things that I identified in my life. So within my book, the 7 life-changing events, those were the 7 curses that I felt were running rampant in my family, from downfall to famine to hatred to strife, and I identified them. I'm like, okay, and I relate back to Pandora's box because Pandora, through curiosity opened the box and all the curses were released on her. And for me, I flipped it and said I closed it because I didn't open Pandora's box. My mom did, or at least her bloodline did. Her generation did. So for my generation, I wanted to close it. And I believe that it starts with someone. And you have to decide if you can identify an issue in your family, you're the one to break it. Because again, you know, I'm all about if you can identify something that nobody else can see, then it's your job to end it. So that was my job. And so
wait, let's even rewind a bit. So your mom in prison.
Yeah.
So what did that mean for you?
I was homeless. I was homeless because it was just me and my mom. I didn't think I had any other family members here. So when my mom,
homeless at 16.
Yeah. Yeah, but I didn't even have my documents.
Oh, wow.
So I had no documents. I had no clue where my passport was. In my opinion, my passport was in the Home Office. But 2 years later, someone called me up and told me, oh, we found your passport in a box in a building in Croydon. Just like that, just thrown in a box. Thank goodness for me, I never changed my number. So what about all the other people who had no numbers?
Yeah.
So when they call me up, I'm like, yeah, it's the Home Office calling. It's coming from Croydon. When she said she was calling from Croydon, I'm like, okay, someone from the Home Office. Do you want me to come and collect my passport? No, didn't go anywhere. The solicitor took all our money and ran away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, ran out of the country. Yep. So here I was.
How long was you homeless for?
So technically I was homeless, but where I was when my mom called me, I was at my grandma's friend's sister's house. Like literally. Okay, so my grandma's friend, which she met my did I put her name? I put her name in the book. Joan. So Joan's the name of the lady, my grandma's friend. I was at her house in Clapham South when my mom rang me up. That's literally how my book started. You know, I was happy. You know, I finally passed all my GCSEs. I was getting prepared to go to Kingston College. I wanted to be a doctor. That's what I wanted to be. And so, you know, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do biology, chemistry, maths, and physics. Those were what I was going to do. And I was going to be the first doctor in my family. So that was my intention. And then 3 days before I started sixth form, well, in this case, college, she called me and said she was arrested. Just nonchalant. Nadia, I'm in Bristol police station. I was like, okay. Nadia's my nickname, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like, who's Nadia? Yeah, you know, Jamaicans, we always have nicknames. Like, it's crazy. But yeah. She was like, yeah, I'm in the Bristol police station, nonchalant about it. I was like, okay, so what's going to happen with me? And at that time, she had a sponsor. And she was like, oh, well, go to her house. And I went to the house. So she just ignored me. So I had to figure it out. And that's one of the reasons why I said I don't rely on people's promises. I need to see your actions. So it shaped me. I went internal.
How else would you say it shaped you?
I didn't trust people. I started relying on myself. I became very bitter. I didn't like my mom or my dad. Hated them. I'm just like, your sole job is to make the best decisions for me so I can achieve, you know, and be the best version of myself. But then if the people who gave birth to me, bring me into this world, sabotage me, then there's no point in trusting anybody else. So I didn't trust anyone for a very long time. And then COVID happened. And then when COVID happened, I know I'm jumping a whole 10 years.
No, talk.
But the reason why I'm jumping, because I want to explain the whole book.
Yeah.
So then COVID happens, and one of the things that I noticed that I did, which I feel I got from my dad, is I avoidance. That's how I coped, because I didn't drink. I didn't party. I stopped partying. Because for me, my body's my temple. It's the one body you've got. You know, if you want it to carry you all your life, you should look after it. But I'm not judging anybody. That's just what I promised myself. So I was like, I'm not taking any drugs. I'm not doing any of that. So I just kind of avoid. I kept busy. That's my avoidance. So I was always busy. How did I survive? I worked in a hair salon. I worked in 3 hair salons. And even while I was working in the hair salons, I mean, the lady that my mom's friend who claimed that she would look after me, she tried to pimp me out. Yep. Oh, date that one, they've got money. Oh, date that one, they've got money. And I'm like, Especially when I realized that she was, all the money that I was working, she was only giving me £30. And she was sending her 3 kids to private school. And here I am just trying to pimp me out. I was like, hell no. I will be able to walk down Coral Harbour Lane with my head held high, knowing that the one thing I said to myself was, I need to be able to look in the mirror and like what I see. And that kept me going. That prevented me from doing things that were offered to me on a platter, you know. I even met this man, some big time drug dealer. He was like, oh, I'll pay all your bills. You don't have to do anything. Oh, you just stay at home, be kept. I said, what's the catch? Oh, I can't have no friends. I said, oh, hell no. No, thank you. I'll work. And I worked. I worked until I felt like I was close to having a mental breakdown.
Yeah, because you know what? I read somewhere that when you was at university, you was working 5 jobs. At the same time, like yeah. Talk to me about that.
That's the second book.
Oh, it's the second book.
It's the second book.
Wow.
So the end of let me get to. I'll go to lockdown, and then after lockdown, I'll segue into the second book. Yeah. So during lockdown, so all of the things that I had gone through was over the course of 10 years, and now I'm approaching 26. I went to university and everything, and even during that time, I had immigration issues and all of that. So now here I am, lockdown, don't have a job, and I'm like, okay, so now I can't be busy, can't do anything, can't go anywhere. All I had was just me and myself. Looking in the mirror, I didn't like what I saw. I didn't recognize myself. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna do some therapy, because for me, I like solutions. I like actions. So I called up at that time. Luckily, my GP was offering free therapy sessions. So I called up and I expressed, how I was feeling. And they said, oh, it will take a month or so for you to get someone. And it's God. Within 3 days, they called me back. And within a week, I had someone. And I went through 2 months of therapy.
What was the reason why you went therapy? Obviously, you went through a lot of stuff, but was there one particular reason why you went therapy? Just coping. Yeah, okay. For 10 years, I was surviving. And when you're in survival mode, that's all you know how to do. So, as I said, I didn't like what I saw in the mirror. This hatred that was consuming me. I didn't really trust people. I wasn't open. I was shut down. I wasn't really my authentic self. The person that I was when I came to the UK the first time, that person was gone. I was jaded. I was, didn't trust people and stuff like that. So I was like, yeah, I like me. I like that person that I was when I came to the country the first time. And I want to go back to that point. And so I worked on myself. And during that time, I realized now why my mom didn't want me. Because I didn't know that it was because her best friend was sleeping with her boyfriend. And she actually got pregnant. So my brother that follows me is my mom's best friend's son. Yeah. So I started to empathize for her, and then the hatred went away. I couldn't hate her anymore. I was like, wow, she was hurting herself. Her first love did that to her. And then from there, I also started to empathize with my dad too, because I'm like, at one point I was very upset. I'm like, this man just walk around spreading his sperm, and there's 6 of us, 6 different women. So, he's not spending one moment with anybody. The minute you get pregnant, he moves on to the next. And so I hated him, and it made me I didn't trust men, and I didn't trust black men because of that. So I had to deal with that. I had to deal with that. I'm like, no, you can't live like that. And so there were a lot of connotations that I had built up with trustworthy, commitment issues, all of the negativity that, that the stereotypes of black men I had to deal with, because I wanted to deal with it. So that's why I did the therapy. And I'm like, no, it had nothing to do with black men. It had to do with my dad. So I had to separate my feelings and say, no, he has the issues. And then from there, wait, let's just pause there, because when you think about it, there could be many people that are going through similar things that you've gone through. And so like, how important is it for them to actually like reflect and think about maybe getting therapy, or even just changing what they currently feel so that they can experience something different? Because it's not easy, because like you can have hate in your heart for a long time, but how important is it? Like, what is your advice to those people that are also going through some sort of like trauma?
What I feel, what I've noticed is, as human beings, the thing that triggers us is the thing that we run to. Whether it be familiarity, consistency, is what I know. Obviously, same as, and I didn't want that. So, for me, I wanted to be happy. And I know that for you to be happy, nobody can make you happy. And I've noticed like a lot of friends, they run to people, they seek happiness from other people. You can't go to other people, putting your emotions and your expectations on them when by the time you meet them and you want to enter into a relationship, they too have their own trauma. And it's not fair to go into a relationship, they have their own baggage. You have your own baggage. And then you're looking to them for them to heal you. They can't heal you. And that was something that I was completely against. I don't want to go into a relationship with my own baggage. That was something that I placed on myself. And I said, before I go into a relationship, I need to heal me. All my preconceived notions, all the insecurities, everything that I had, I wanted to heal me. And so for me, as I said, I'm solutions driven. And even though I am Christian, I'm a born again Christian, I believe that just like how you have doctor for the cardiologist, doctor for the heart, doctor for everything, I believe a psychologist is a doctor for the mind. And I believe just like if you have a broken leg, when you have a broken mind, you need to heal. You can't run from persons to person seeking healing from other people, because we're all flawed. You have to heal you before you can go and show up as your full self, your authentic self. And so I placed the onus on me to fix me and nobody else. So that's why I had the therapy. And while I was going through therapy, I realized, I hated my parents for such a long time, but I realized they were just broken children in an adult body, and it made me empathize with them. Because my dad's mom died when he was 12. So he never had a mom. And his dad was in America with a completely different family. Only because I also did my DNA test because I didn't really know who I was. And I wanted to, because people always come up to me randomly speaking different languages. And I'm like, listen, I'm Jamaican. I've had Somalian, I've had Eritrean, I've had all sorts of stuff. So I did my DNA test. And because I just did it as a Christmas present to myself. And so I just wanted to know who I was. And then during that time, I had conversations with my father. And I found out that they were the side children. So his mom was sleeping with a married man. Another generational curse. The things that you do, you don't realize. The things that draw you, you're like, why do I think like that? Why am I attracted to married men? Or why do I do these things? Because it's in your bloodline. And if you don't cut it at the neck, it repeats itself. All of these things are important. And I got to the point where I actually had a conversation with somebody else and they're like, well, men like to procreate, blah, blah, blah. I said, that's no excuse. You have one life to live. You are given stewardship over your own life. It's your right to fix it. It's your right to live however you want to live. If you want to go around spreading your seed, that's your prerogative. But just remember, you're going to have a bunch of kids that look to you and don't like you for it. And the good thing that I appreciate with my siblings, albeit all half, we all get along, right? And even my older brother or half brother, we had to tell him off. We had to tell our own father off. Like, what you doing? You're a grown ass man. Why you need to fix up. My brother said, I will never go through what my mom went through. A bag of kids. It's like, no, I want all my children to be from one woman. He never saw that when he was growing up, but he made it. He said, no, I am the steward of my life. I'm the captain. I'm the, however you want to look at it. I'm the man in my family. I will set the trajectory from my children. So yeah, he's married with his kids, all from one woman, all have the same name. So when I look at my dad, I'm like, I don't understand what his issue is, because his older sister has been married. All her kids are from her husband. His older brother married. All his kids are from his wife. So what the hell is wrong with you? So I was like, that's no excuse, You can't say you never had a mom or you never had a dad. So that's the reason why you turn out the way you turned out. Because your two siblings, they had the same experience. Given, this is where I empathize with him. Or sympathize, because I've never been through it. But he was the youngest when his mom died. So perhaps it affected him differently. So that's where I gave him grace. And I just accepted, you know what, he's what he is. So all I can do is change the way I look at myself and heal myself. And so I made peace with that. So that's what happened during lockdown. And then my last therapy session was on the 8th of January. And then after that, the rest of everything that I went through for the 10 years just started pouring out. And then I put it in the book. It just poured out. Just poured out. Everything that I had suppressed for the past 10 years. And then with the second book now, I was actually at work. So graduated university. My second job, I was there and I was unhappy. And I was unhappy for about 15 months.
Hey, let's rewind before you graduated. So you worked 5 jobs.
No, that's the second book. This is where I'm coming now.
Oh, okay.
I'll go into it now. So I was in my second job and I was unhappy and I was like, God, I mean, there must be more to life than this. I don't just want a job. I don't just want to pay bills. I don't just want to exist. I feel like I've been through so much in life that I want to motivate. And I do motivate people. My friends, I motivate them. Like my goddaughter's mum, I motivated her from the moment she told me she was pregnant. I was with her 9 years by her side. Any capacity that she needed me, I was there with her. From when she was pregnant at 21. And was it last year? She said to me, thank you for, and I'm like, no problem. Because when I was going through it, I had nobody. And when after I graduated from my first degree, I said, I don't ever want anybody else to go through what I went through. Everything I had to figure out on my own. Why? Because I was the first. And everybody wants to be the first, but there's a lot of pressure and uncertainty, unknowing that comes with first. Everything you have to figure out by yourself. You know, when I got to uni and I actually had a consulting, not consulting, but I had to do a careers review, and the lady's gonna look at me and say, well, you should know what you want to be. And I'm like, I don't know, that's why I'm here. It's like, well, everybody who comes to me already know what they want to be. And I'm like, that's a terrible thing to say to somebody. And that's because I'm the first person in my family to go to university. So everybody that's in university already had parents to let them know this is what to expect, this is what you need to prepare, at what time you need to prepare it. I had to figure everything out by myself. And by the time I found out, it was either too late or I'm just on the brink. So I'm just like, this don't work. And I even applied for a mentor. And the mentor that I got was stupid. I was very upset. The mentor that I got, she was Greek. We had nothing in common. Nothing in common other than the fact that, okay, we were born in October. And we're both international students. But and when I spoke to her about everything, she was like, well, a friend did this, a friend did that. The only thing she taught me was get a support system and network. And obviously, while I was going through it, I was very upset because you had to apply and I had 2 levels of interview to be considered to get a mentor. And then she turned up and I was like, what's this? Because where I was and the expectations that I had towards her, she didn't have. She just wanted to put it on her CV and I'm just like, wait. After the first meeting, I was like, she ain't working for me. And this is something that I want to do in the future. I want to help underrepresented children. So it doesn't have to be black, just underrepresented children who are going to be the first. And you don't have to aspire to go to university. There are so many different avenues. Again, I found out late, like apprenticeships and stuff. I didn't know those things. I didn't know those things existed. Everything that I found out either it was too late, you know. It's
difficult because you didn't even have any guidance. You didn't have no role model, no one to like teach you.
I was thrown in the deep end and told swim. So I had to figure it out. Thank goodness I was flexible. And that's where the whole 5 jobs come in. So, okay, so I was doing my second job I was there for 15 months and I was frustrated because I feel like there were more inside of me to give, you know? And so I was like, okay, there must be more. And I had a dream to apply to, which I also put in my book, to apply to Manchester. I applied to Manchester and I applied to Warwick to do a master's in business consulting. And I got through to Warwick and at that time, I had my indefinite leave to remain, so I wasn't a fully British citizen. And I went to convention, and then the pastor said to me, "Go to church, go to university. Everything will be okay." But prior to that, I I had been praying and speaking to God and just asking for directions and confirmation, because this is the thing that a lot of people don't understand, especially from a Christian perspective. When God gives you something to do, all hell breaks loose. Don't think that is easy. The moment a dot is placed on you, all hell breaks loose, because the moment I said I was going to apply to do my master's, all hell broke loose. I actually got told to leave my job that I was working. I had to leave. And I believe that was a signal on my back. All hell broke loose. I had to go back to working in hairdressing for a couple of months. But I did get my indefinite. But before that, I had like a couple of months to go. And normally, when it comes to immigration status and whatnot in this country, whatever you're doing when you apply to the Home Office, you stay in that situation until they make a decision. I know this. This is my third time. It wasn't my first time at the rodeo. I knew what I was doing. But because my manager, he was attractive and whatever, and there was an HR assistant that wanted him, even though he was interested in me, even though I wasn't interested in him because of other religious reasons or non-religious reasons. I was like, yeah. So I wasn't interested in him, but she saw me as a competition. And so she told me to leave and use the immigration as the reason, but I knew the reason why. Anyway, so I was like, okay, no problem. And the good thing is, one thing I would always say to people, don't ever leave a situation and burn your bridges. That's something that I'm completely against. Don't burn your bridges behind you, because you never know when you may need somebody that you left behind. And so I had to pick up my phone and call the lady that I worked with the first time around when I got the first 3 years. And I said to her, I've got bills to pay and whatnot, and I just got kicked out of my company because of my documents. And she said, yeah, come. And I started working the Saturday. Yeah, so I always say don't burn bridges. Anyways, I was working there for a couple of months, and then I got my indefinite leave to remain. And then my manager called me back because I later found out that 2 people got the job after I left, and they both quit because of the amount of work that I did. I did 2 people's job. I did 2 people's jobs without complaint, and they were only paying me for 1. So when the other people came in after me, they were like, oh, I can't cope with this. This is too much work. Because I would go in at 8 o'clock and I wouldn't leave until 10. And I was only being paid one person's job. So they realized, they were like, they called me back on the guise of, oh, well, it's because we're approaching year end and because the systems, well, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I know better. And I went back and I was like, okay. But I already made up in my mind, I'm going to university this September. So this was 2017. So I already deferred for 2018 to do my master's. And while I was there, they were playing around and I'm like, what are we doing? Are we extending? So it was approaching December now. And I was like, okay, what are we doing? Do you want to extend the contract? No answer. I got no answer from anyone. So I'm like, you know what? Me, I'm always going to prepare because you can't trust people. I'm just going to do what I need to do. So I already secured a job and I'd be starting in February. So when I told them, I gave them a resignation. They're like, oh, where are you going? I'm like, I've been waiting here for a month for you lot to tell me what to do. Do you want to extend this contract? Because they took me back in temporarily for 3 months. I normally get my status or any sort of immigration news around my birthday for whatever reason in October. So I went back in November, December. January they were dragging their feet and I'm like, I don't have time for this because I'm supposed to be starting university in the coming September, so I need to start saving money to do my master's. So I just left. I gave them a resignation letter and left, and then I started another job. And so yeah, all I'm saying is whenever you get instructions or whenever you get things to do, just prepare to see everything fall apart. And that's confirmation that you're going in the right direction. That's confirmation. But anyway, so on my way to university, after the pastor told me at convention to go to university, everything will be okay, I packed all my stuff and went all the way to Coventry to work university. And on my way on, I think it was M5 or something, it is M5, I found out that the loan that I was depending on to pay for my tuition fee and accommodation fell through. So here we go. And I'm like, God, but you said everything will be okay. What do you mean? I thought you said everything will be okay. And I already quit my job, pack all my stuff. I'm on my way. I'm almost in Coventry. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna walk on faith because I have nothing else. I'm not turning back. God told me to go to university. I'm going to university. And that's how I ended up working 5 jobs. I was just like, God, if you give me the strength to do it, I'll do it.
5 jobs.
I had no option.
That's
I had
mad.
to do it.
Yeah.
I had to do it. I mean,
You know what? Think about your upbringing. Like, you've always had to grind. You've
I've always
been
had
in
to.
like difficult situations. So like you said before, you've been in survival mode, and that's exactly what it sounds like it was.
Yeah.
So when you think about all the stuff that you was going through as well, like, did you ever feel like giving up?
Oh, what? Plenty of times. But quitting is not in my genes. I don't quit. I don't quit anything. Everything that I've done, I've ride it right through to the end. Even when I feel like I want to quit, I don't quit. Because while I was going through it, actually, I had nowhere to stay. So I was staying at my auntie's. Again, these are always people. So what I'm trying to get out of this is every time family members every time my family members do a good deed, their good deed follow me. That's why whenever I do a good deed for someone, I don't ever ask for anything. I don't need your praise. I don't need anything. I'm good. I do it from the kindness of my heart because I have lived in the grace of my family members' efforts. When I on my way to university, now the money that I needed to pay for accommodation, I couldn't. So I called up my auntie on my way to university, and I'm like, Auntie Charmaine, I know you have a friend that lives in Coventry. Can you check if they have somewhere I can stay? And they were like, yeah, someone just left a room. And there was a room. And she said to me, it's £300 a month. And I was like, okay.
Wow.
I only had £300 in my account. I'm like, okay, I can pay for a month. And I'll try to find a job. And I walked the path. I had 2 weeks to get a job. And I walked the streets every day until I got a job. And again, God's grace, I got a job right in the center of university in Roots. And it was one day. This is faith. One shift. And I said, yeah, I'll take it. And I put in the work. Let your work speak for you. I put in the work and I gave 100%. If it was stacking crisps, I stacked crisps to the best of my ability. If it was stacking water, I aligned them perfectly. I don't care the type of job I did. I did it to the best that I could. And it was because of that why I kept getting more jobs. Because I worked at the hospital, Coventry Hospital, as a cleaner. I was wiping up people's poo. I didn't care. I was paying my bills. I worked in the supermarket, and I was doing night shifts because I couldn't do it during the day. I had to study. So I was finishing at 12 o'clock. And I was like, God, what am I going to do? Because I had nowhere else to go because the last bus stops at 11. So I'm stuck on campus until the next day because I live 10 miles away where I was renting the room. So I was like, shoot, what am I going to do? And I went to the library, which was 24 hours. So at least I had warmth. And there was, once when I couldn't do it anymore, I ended up going into the toilet stalls and trying to sleep there. And that's when I felt like, yeah, this is it. Like this is ground level. This is it. I'm quitting. But I couldn't quit. And you know what keeps me going whenever I feel like I want to quit? Knowing that my cousins in Jamaica would cut off their arms to be in my position. That kept me going. I was like, I don't have any reasons to quit. I can't quit. And I made it seem easy. People were like, I didn't know you went through all of that. I was like, you don't see me when I'm falling apart.
When people see you, they don't know what you've had to go through to get to where you are.
Exactly.
Like it's mad. Like because a lot of people would have given up in that situation. Like it's easier to give up than to continue, especially because of how difficult it is. But you kept going on. And do you feel like the main reason is because you had a motivation behind all that you was doing?
Yes.
Yeah.
My motivation initially was not to be like my mom. So mindset. Initially, I started off with hatred. Hatred was my fuel. Until when I realized I couldn't hate my parents anymore, I was like, okay, what's my next fuel? Because I run off fuel. I run it until it's empty. So the hatred, not only was it fueling me, it was eating at me. So I was like, this is not good for me because I'm being bitter and I don't like the person I'm becoming from hatred. So I had to change my mindset. And I'm like, you know what? If I'm going through all of this struggle, I'm going through it for a reason. And I found my purpose. And I feel like it's to motivate people. You know, especially people who are going into new situations, who has nobody that's been in that situation before them to say, you know what, this is what you do. And I'm working on it now, and I'm still working on it. I'm not there yet, but I want to be able to somehow form some form of mentoring scheme where I can help to motivate young people, because a lot of us have gifts and talents. Even someone that I work with just said to me, you know, I had A stars in my GCSEs. And I'm like, that's such a shame. He could have been anything he wanted to be. But it's just the person to let him know that these are your options. Sometimes we have the raw talent. We just need guidance. And I say to everybody, we all have it. Don't let nobody tell you that because of your skin tone, you're not smart enough. We have it. We just need to find the right purpose. We need to find what drives us. We need to know that we are all a cog in the wheel. You have to find what it is that you're supposed to do. When you find your purpose, then it's easy. It's like breathing. You find the energy to stay up at 2-3 o'clock in. Because I remember when I was writing my first book, I was like up at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, writing, pouring out, and still finding the energy to wake up. Even with my second book, I was up at like 2 o'clock in the morning writing. Because I feel like people need to understand that, you know, people always say, oh, you make it look so easy. There's nothing easy. Anything that's worth having, you have to fight for it. You're not gonna get it because you want it or you think about it. And that's the reason why I call it the audacity of faith. Not only do we pray about it, but when God gives you instructions, because that's what prayer is. Prayer is a lifeline. But when God returns with a message, you have to walk on that message with no fear. Because that's what I was telling you about, you know. My auntie said to me, I had a dream that you got a first. And I had a mustard seed of fear. And I lost my 3 points from getting a first in my master's to a merit. And I blame myself. And I blame myself because I could have gotten it. I just submitted my last assignment 1 minute too late. And when you submit it after the deadline, you lose 3 points.
Oh, wow.
So I was upset because I had 5 jobs. I almost lost my mind twice. That's another time when I literally signed myself up to go in therapy because...
What happened? Was you overwhelmed?
Overwhelmed, an understatement. Do you know how I ended up? So, okay. So when I was stuck on campus, I was like, God, I can't keep doing this. I need to sleep. And I don't know, I just started having a conversation with one of the persons that work in the supermarket. And I was like, you remember you were talking about this thing? What is it? He was a resident tutor. And I was like, what is resident tutor? When you're a resident tutor, you get an accommodation. You get to live on campus, but you're responsible for children. Well, not children, they're teenagers. You're responsible for first year students that live on campus. And I was like, I'm doing that. and you get somewhere to live on campus. I was like, I don't care what it takes. Just what do I need to do? Send me all the documents. And I went through that. I'm like, listen, at the moment I'm in the library, I'm not sleeping. I need somewhere to rest my head. And I went through and it went so smoothly. And I got a position, and guess what? I got the worst. I wouldn't say the worst for everybody else, but I got the most challenging block because nothing comes to me easy. So at this point, I'm supposed to be smiling because I'm just like, psh. Everything that I've had to accomplish, I've had to fight for it. I got the worst house. When I tell you these children are partying until 2-3 o'clock in the morning, I've literally cried on the floor, said I can't do this. Many a nights I call my auntie in Jamaica to pray for me because I'm about to have a mental breakdown. So after I work until 12 o'clock at night and come down, I have to deal with kids or 19 and 18 year olds. And I promise you, at the end of the year, none of them liked me. Only one said goodbye to me at the end. And she was Nigerian. So that just could have been culture. They hated me. I had everything to deal with. I had a young adults that tried to commit suicide. I had so many things that I was dealing with. As well as everything that they're dealing with. I had my own things that I'm dealing with. And I have to find time to study all of the things. So even though I had somewhere to stay, it came with other responsibilities. But I pushed through. And after the first two terms, nobody even, they saw me coming and they're like, let's move out Samantha's way because she's crazy. Because most of them are bigger than me, taller than me. But I ain't got time for that. When you know where you want to be, yes, you have to go into the fire sometimes. Because at that time, actually, I was able to apply for my naturalization. So even though all hell is breaking loose, it's all working together for my good. And I was gonna stick it out, and I stuck it out. 5 jobs, including the resident tutor, because I was staying somewhere, but I had a job. I had to look after all of them, make sure that they didn't, they were all getting along. They're all from different cultures, different subjects. I put them together, so I had to make sure.
Clap for you, man.
Oh gosh, it was stressful, but I made it to the end.
Yeah. Wait, so what are you doing now?
Now I'm a finance officer. I'm always
and also an author as well. We're gonna
I'm an author. I had to tell my story. I had to tell my story. Yeah. I feel like people need to understand that with your calling comes hard work. And you will be challenged, but the challenge that you go through is for your good. Every single skill that I've learned, I'm utilizing today. So it's not a loss. There are several lessons. And even when I returned back to London in 2019, and I thought, you know what, because I was very upset with not getting my first, I went to do a TEFL. I'm always learning. I ain't got nothing better else. I ain't got nothing better to do. I'm always on, I feel like for me, one of my purpose in life is to grow. And whatever it takes, I will always find time to grow. Because nobody knows everything. And I'm not trying to know everything. I'm just trying to be the best version of myself to do what God called me to do to the best of my abilities. And so I started a TEFL course. So I'm teaching English as a second language, but foreign language. And I was supposed to go to China. Did the applications, did the interview, did everything. And just before I was supposed to go to China, lockdown. So I was like, oh, shoot. Okay, we can't do that. And it so happened that now I'm using that same qualification to teach a friend. She's Spanish and she wants to go into the police. So I say that for saying this. Every single thing that you've learned, you will use. God will never waste any of your gifts, any of your talents, any of your qualifications. It will never be wasted. And as I keep pushing, he's still pulling me. And because I'm at this point where I'm like, now I've seen how God has worked in my life. I'm not on the fence anymore. I'm like, God, use me. Use me completely. I'm here and I'm available. And I'm not going to be one of those is it servants in the Bible, the ones that were given the talents. I'm not going to be the one that hides the one talent and say, oh, this is a test and I don't want to fail. No. I'm going to be the one with the 2 or the one with the 5 and say multiply. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why I've gone through so much, because I feel like I want to motivate people. I want to help people to fulfill. I'm motivated already, man. I want to help people to fulfill their purpose. Like my goddaughter's mum that I said, she's a qualified teacher now with a master's. I help prepare her with her interview, help prepare her with her GCSE maths. I help prepare her with anything, anywhere that I can help you, I'll help you. And it's just because I believe that we're not competing. And I said it to her. I said, we're not competing. A lot of the times as Black people or just people in general, we're always jealous over what other people have. And we feel like we have to keep a knowledge to ourselves because you don't want somebody to outshine you or grow more than you. No, we're not competing. We have our own race. And whenever, because I'm not going to say that I'm immune to it. I get disheartened. Yeah, all my friends have kids and they're moving on with relationships and stuff. And I'm like, I'm not doing any of that. But then I realized, listen, put your blinders on. You got things to do. I ain't got time to be worried about stuff that other people are doing. That's their journey. When horses are running races, they ain't got time to look at what the other horse is doing. And that's how I see it in life. Put my blinders on. And if it's God will, then everything else that I'm praying and hoping for will come. When it's the right time. But I've got things to do, so I keep going. And every morning I wake up, I'm like, I've got things to do. I don't have the time to be saying, woe is me. So that's how I keep going.
Wow. I'm inspired, motivated, empowered, and I hope you're all feeling that way as well. Gonna wrap up in a second, but let's see the books.
You want to see?
So, give me
Both of them. So
yeah, both of them.
book two.
Alright, so book one, as she said, Pandora's box is shut.
How I forced Pandora's box shut.
Pandora's box shut. So that's the first.
Yeah, and I tweaked the name. So it's How I Forced Pandora's Box Shut. 7 life-shaking events that almost broke me.
And where can people get this?
On Amazon.
Amazon, yeah.
And I also have the audio version of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So make sure you buy this, man, because honestly, you've heard some of the story already, and I'm sure it's even more juicy in the book itself. So make sure you get that one.
It's on Audible as well.
I've ordered this one. Mine's coming tomorrow, actually. So
awesome.
I wish I read the other one as well. But yeah, this is what I'm going to start off with as well. So make sure you buy this one as well. So hope remains, the audacity of faith. So her journey is very, very interesting, man. And like, I'm happy that he was actually able to share, because one thing you could have done is keep all of it to yourself, because a lot of people do go through stuff and they're not sharing. And I understand, because like, it's invasive, it's private. But I feel like through you sharing, you're actually healing some people's hearts. Some people are feeling more confident, like, wow, like Samantha spoke, like, now I'm going to share my story, because other people that are out there that are also struggling, like, what you go through is not just for you as well. Like, there's other people that need your help. So I'm happy that you are actually using your experience to help people. Like, I don't know if you ever thought you would ever be writing a book in the first place, but like you said, like, it's your calling, that's something that you are doing, and I feel like it's important that we continue to share our journeys with other people. Obviously not to like brag or anything like that, but more to like inspire, help, encourage and support. Because you didn't have no support, you didn't have no guidance, you didn't even have a clue that you'll be doing this today. Let's even say from the age of 7 till now, like, would you have thought you'd be doing this now?
No.
Exactly. And so
not at all.
I just feel like you are a living example that, well, I don't want to use those phrases. I'm just going to speak like in English. Like, I just want to say, when things come against you, you just got to keep trying. You got to keep persisting, and you can't give up.
Exactly.
So one of the things I want to say to you is like, what would you say is like one thing that you want people to take from our conversation today?
Embrace your struggles. Embrace your struggles. Let me tell you, I know people use this cliche over and over, saying about, you know, a coal under pressure becomes a diamond. But it's not just that. I feel like whenever you go through your struggles, don't worry about what you've lost. Think about this is how I look at my life, even today. When it doesn't turn out how I would hope it to turn out, I look at what have I learned? What have I learned in this moment? Because I know that lesson, I can carry it to the next thing. Even if it is an exam that you wanted to pass and you failed, reflect on the techniques that you may not had utilized and change it and try to make it more effective. So yeah, lessons learned, and use it to prepare yourself and position yourself for the next thing in your life.
How can people find you as well? Like, how can people get in contact with you if you want to be found?
I'm on Instagram. I have a TikTok page. I'm trying my best to work on my YouTube channel. There are a few videos on there, but I need to be more consistent. So that's something that's on my to-do list to work on.
Yeah, no, definitely.
You can email me. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. Same name.
I'll add all of this to the description as well. So like the Amazon link and your socials to description as well. Yeah, man. Honestly, I'm just speechless, man, because it's been very powerful. Obviously, you gave me little insight as to your journey beforehand, but even that doesn't even come close to what I just heard today, innit? So I hope everyone is feeling touched, because what she done, again, is brave as well. Like, it's not easy to come and talk about your experiences, especially the things that brought you pain, brought you tears, for the benefit of other people. So I want people to also just comment and let her know how her stories made you feel, encourage her and support her as well. Yeah, man, honestly, I'm just touched, man. But yeah, guys, if you like this video, make sure you like it. Also subscribe if you haven't already, like, because yeah, this has been powerful. And like I said at the start, let me know if there's anyone else that you want us to bring on. because we want to make sure we're getting people that are going to be able to inspire you as well. So my final sort of question or statement to you is like, can you please give the audience some final words of encouragement? So it can be based on what you said today or just what's on your heart in general. Like, what would you like to say to your brothers and sisters?
Stay consistent. And I'm not just saying that for you, I'm also saying it for myself. If you feel deep down in your gut that you have a purpose and a calling, go into it. What do I mean by go into it? Break it down. What is it that's fueling you? And try never to do something from a negative standpoint, because it will eat into you. So always try to do whatever you're doing from a positive. Look at the purpose. Look at how you will be impacting your family and your friends around you, and use that to fuel you. Because why do I mention fuel? Because there will be times when you're tired, 2-3 o'clock in the morning, you have no energy, but you have to still keep going. Because people always celebrate during the good times, but during the bad times, you have to dig deep into yourself and remind yourself why you are doing what you're doing. And I promise you, you have a purpose. And sometimes you may not be able, you may not be able to like pinpoint it initially, but dig deep. It is there. We all have a purpose on this planet.